Hey, it's Kim Commando Today, your daily podcast to keep you up to date with all things digital and beyond. And I'd love to have you be a part of our podcast. You can make an appointment to speak with me. Just head over to commando.com, and on the top right, there's a button that says Email Kim. Fill that out, and that's it. I always like to kick things off with something fun and interesting. And on TikTok this past week, oh my gosh, there was a video that was just blowing up. And they say it's a brand new way to tell if you're really old or not. Okay, it's not by how you look. It's that maybe you know what this is. Take a listen. You know what that is? Anybody? Oh, yeah. That was like, the sound of freedom, the sound of technology, the sound of the future. It was the dial-up internet sound. Right? So they say this noise is familiar to anyone who was born before 1998. And that noise is known as handshaking, by the way. To make your internet work, the ISP would answer the call, connect to your modem, and then the sounds would come by, and it would last, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds or just about there. That made me start thinking about other things that the kids might not know about. What about pagers? Yeah. Let's see, Walkman, VHS tapes, floppy disks, CDs. Yes, they may not even know what those are. And think about this. Cassettes, tapes, you remember those. They had side A and side B. So their only logical successor would be the CD. Oh, yeah. On that happy note, I'm Kim Commando, America's digital goddess, here with you once again. It's the best show. It's the biggest show. It's the most trusted show about all things digital. And let me tell you something. You're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. And you can find my award-winning show in over 425 top stations throughout the United States. And you can find us streaming as a podcast, as a webcast, 24/7 over on the website. That's commando.com. Just hit that button that says Commando Community. And yes, it is commercial free. Now, if you're listening on the radio, we totally love that. But just a reminder, again, you can get this as a podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, just search for Kim Commando Show. And I know you have at least a few questions about something digital I can lend a hand to. So our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And just a quick reminder, if you're just too shy to come on a big-time show and pod, I get that. You can always drop me your questions over on the website. That's commando.com, and hit that link that says Email Kim. And I'd like to thank ExpressVPN for helping to make this show possible today. Even in incognito mode, your internet service provider can see every single website that you visited. So here's what you need to do. Anonymize your activity with ExpressVPN's best-in-class encryption. You get an extra 3 months free by going to this special address, expressvpn.com/Kim. That's expressvpn.com/Kim. All right, every single day I check out at least 35 different websites to make sure that we're both up to date on all things digital. And here are 5 things you need to know about tech that's happening right now. We're going to start with something that has happened to you and has happened to me. You're just having this convo with a friend of yours about something, maybe taking a trip to Paris or buying a brand new electric bike. Then you hop on Facebook and bam, what do you see? Ads for hotels in Paris and maybe some shops around you that sell electric bikes. And so you're sitting there saying, is Facebook listening? They must be. Well, here's the deal. Consumer Reports, they did extensive research and they found the answer is no, they're not. They're doing something else that will shock you even more. Turns out Facebook is not listening because they're getting all of our personal likes, dislikes, searches, doctor's visits, our pets, our purchases, our kids, our political affiliation, our working hours, our locations, from about 48,000 companies. Yes, I said 48,000 companies. Wow. Data brokers like LiveRamp, along with the other big retailers, even small shops are in it. So myth busted. Facebook does not need to listen because they're getting the data from those 48,000 companies. Wow, isn't that something? All right, moving on to number 2. Anyone who's ever had their car stolen wonders, was it sold for parts? Where the heck did you go? So we're going to have to go to Toronto, Canada for this story. That's where car owner Andrew had his SUV stolen right from his driveway. But good news, because Andrew was smart, he hid an AirTag inside his SUV. So he tracked where the vehicle went through his Apple Find My app. Now, this is really interesting. First, the SUV was taken to a nearby rail yard. After that, it went to the port of Montreal. And after that, the AirTag just went offline. But Andrew wasn't out of luck. 50 days later, his SUV's AirTag went online again. And where was it? nearly 7,000 miles away, yeah, in a used car lot in the United Arab Emirates. So here's what everybody needs to do right now. I want you, if you're on Apple, buy an AirTag. Now, if you're on Team Android, you can get a tile tracker. So you're going to pop it in your vehicle's engine bay using some Gorilla duct tape. That's waterproof, really strong duct tape. So this way you always know where your car is located. Moving on to number 3, it should come as a surprise to nobody. I mean, nobody's big on EVs right now because of multiple reasons. In the freezing weather, they're just not going to start, and they just take too long to charge up. And charging stations are few and far between, and people are getting stranded. So GM, Ford, and Volkswagen have vastly scaled back the production. But what if you still want a gas or diesel car, but you still want to maybe get into the electric niche? That's where you want to look at a hybrid. Hybrids never need charging. The gas engine does all that for you while you're driving and providing with 60 to 70 miles per gallon. Mercedes, Toyota, Kia, and others, they say that this is the future. Moving on to number 4, just a few years ago, wrist-worn fitness devices were all the rage. And this year, what turns out is that professional athletes are dumping their trackers. That's right. They say it's just too much data. They're not having fun anymore. So from the pros to average people, they say that these fitness devices have become addictive. So instead of enjoying the moment, they realize that they are addicted to the data. The walk, the run, the swim, no longer fun. It's a chore to compare the progress, the lack of it, and then pick up the next day to outdo the day before. So if you're no longer enjoying your daily exercise, it's time to dump the tracker. You know what? I did. And finally, this coming in from number 5, you get a call from tech support from your bank. They say, uh-oh, we've spotted some fraud on your account, and I'm here to help you. CNBC reported about Marjorie Bloom. She's a 77-year-old widower who got a call from someone claiming to be a fraud investigator at her PNC bank. And then the guy on the phone says criminals are on the brink of draining your savings account using stolen data that they found about you online. And to keep your money safe, Marjorie, you need to act fast. Move the money out of that bank, but you have to keep it hush-hush. Not a word to anyone, not even to your children. So over the next month, Marjorie, wire transfers her entire life savings to a new bank, $661,000. As you guessed it, it was all a sham. Scams like this can snag anyone. So if you ever get a call of this sort, something like this, I want you to hit up your official bank's number to double check and then tell someone immediately about it, someone who you trust. Say, this is the call I got. I'm not sure if this is legit. Can you help me figure it out? This year, keep your family safer than ever with Simply Safe. I trust Simply Safe in my own home, and I recommend it to everybody. Save 20% on a brand new system with a Fast Protect plan at simplysafekim.com. Once again, that's simplysafekim.com. Hey, our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And I have a few things to tell you about before we get rocking and rolling in this hour. Number 1, I'm giving away a $1,000 PC or Mac, totally your choice. You get $1,000 to buy whichever computer that you want. And how you enter to win is over at commando.com/win. That's commando.com/win. That's right. You could have your hands on a brand new PC or Mac, literally. Okay, I'm giving one away. You just have to go to commando.com/win. And the other thing I want to tell you about is I'm super excited is that we launched Kim Commando Today, a revamped podcast and webcast called Kim Commando Today this past week. And so you can get it wherever you get your videos. Number 1 is talking about YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, Facebook, you name it. Just go to the official Kim Commando page on any place where you get your videos, and I'm sure we're streaming there. Then you can also get it as a podcast, too. So if you don't want to watch the video live or on demand, and maybe you're more of a podcast type of gal or guy, is that you can also get it as a pod. Just search for Kim Commando Today wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's see. Amber in Oklahoma, you're up next. Glad to have you with us, Amber.
Thank you so much. I have never called into a radio show before, but I just thought I have a definitely difficult situation right now, and I've heard you help so many people, so I thought maybe you could help.
Okay, well, I'm here, and this is my role in life, Amber. It is. I try to lend a hand wherever I can. It's very fulfilling for me. So if I can certainly, point you in a direction, I'm happy to do so. So tell me what's going on.
So I have recently had to get guardianship of my mother because of dementia, and she's actually doing better. We almost were to the point of nursing home placement, but then she started to improve, and so her doctor had said no, she doesn't have to change her living arrangement. So she's still living on her own, but just with more intervention from me and my other siblings. But I'm the one that got guardianship of her.
So, all right. So you're in charge.
Yes.
Okay.
And while we were helping her clean her house, kind of get things together when we thought she was going to the nursing home, we found credit card bills, which we didn't know that she had. She sold her home a couple of years ago, well, maybe 2018, maybe 2019, something like that. And at that point, I knew that she paid off her credit card bills with the money that she sold her home with. So these are, credit cards that have built back up over these last few years.
Yes.
There are two of them, and they total about $40,000. And she does not have the money or any assets at this point to pay those off. She's already spent the money from selling her home. So I'm just wondering, I know that with her having dementia, if I call the credit card company, I know that they'll, hopefully try to work with me a little bit. But with $40,000, I didn't know, are we already to the point that I need to be talking to a bankruptcy attorney on her behalf or a credit counseling agency? But then I know that not all of those are reputable. So I didn't know really where to start there.
Well, from a past caregiver to you, I will tell you, this is hard. Okay. It's emotionally draining. And for some reason, she selected you to be the one in charge. And like my mom selected me to be in charge, right?
I'm the only girl. And that's, it's just a little easier, I think, for them to depend on the daughter.
And it's, yes. And a lot of times it is 100%. You bring up a good point about dementia credit cards. That happened with my grandmother. And we were able to reverse the charges by providing the diagnosis and by writing a letter. And whenever I write a letter to a company, I don't write a letter to the customer service manager. I'm telling you that right now. Okay. What I do is I'll go to whatever company it is, and I will find whoever's in charge, the CEO or the president. And then when you go to that web page where it says like about the company, and then they'll probably have like this happy picture of the CEO with all these great words about how customers are their number one priority and it's their goal and their paradigm or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Just a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo that doesn't mean anything. But inside there, you're going to find a line that's where they talk about how they take their business seriously and customers are their number one asset and all this other stuff. And then I write a letter using that word in the first sentence is on your website. You say this, but this is how you failed. Okay. And that seems to work most of the time. Okay. So I would definitely appeal to that. I would freeze her credit if you haven't done that already. So that this way nobody else she can't take any credit cards or, at least limit the debt. Bankruptcy, she probably at this point in her life, she's not going to need credit at any other point, right?
No.
So, I mean, is there a real downside to that? No, but other than that, it's going to take a lot of time, effort, energy, and money, because it will. Okay. There is something called the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, NFCC. Okay. I would definitely want you to reach out to them. It's a nonprofit, so it's none of these these agencies that you'll see online. You know what I mean? Where they're gonna charge you a fee to get rid of whatever debt that you've accumulated. But they can connect you to a credit counselor that can give you different options. And because they're nonprofit, I mean, their aim is to provide education. Take care of you, take care of other things. Bankruptcy, it can discharge unsecured debts like the credit card debt, but it is a complex legal process. So that's why if it were me, I would write letters to the credit agents or the credit cards about the $40,000, about how, that this is, the woman, she is ill. I have power of attorney and I'm her primary caregiver, and it's my goal to reduce this debt. And then I would reach out to that NFCC. But I wouldn't do bankruptcy just because I think, again, it's a legal process, it's complex, and it's going to cost you money.
Okay.
Does that help you out?
It does. It does. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. If you're running across anything else as you go through all this, Amber, anything from how to take care of your mom with technology, or you want to, run something by me, I'm going to give you my personal email address, and I'm always here for you, really, 100%. And remember, always take care of yourself. Okay, promise me that. Just 10 minutes a day, Amber. 10 minutes for you only, just you. Whether it's just you sitting down and meditating, listening to Bible in a year, whatever it may be. Just take that 10 minutes a day just for you. All right, let's talk about you and how you're paying your bills. Okay, one of the best things that you can set up is auto pay, right? And so that this way you don't have to get the paper statements in the mail, and then you got to write the check, and then you got to do it. And the only thing that I caution you about auto pay is that you want to make sure that the bill is correct, okay? Because so often you maybe don't check things and you find out that the costs have gone up, especially when it comes to streaming. I don't know if you've looked at your streaming costs lately, but I did the other day, and I was spending, get it, past tense, I was spending about $150 a month on streaming. And I'm like, dude, Barry, where are you signing up? And why are you signing up for this? Do you know YouTube TV? Do you know how much that is? YouTube TV? Granted, you get a lot of things. You get the local channels, and you get just about every other cable channel. You get a DVR built in. But he signed up for that because he didn't get Fox News when we were traveling. No, didn't tell anybody about it. $75 a month. That was on top of the $150. So if you haven't looked at your streaming costs lately, you really need to do that. I digress. I really want to talk to you about writing checks, though, because now is truly the time to go paperless. Check fraud is so bad that it has doubled within the last year. So people might be writing fewer checks, but the amounts on those checks have actually increased. Get this, the current average check amount clocks in at over $2,600. Wow. So that's enough to make a criminal go through your mailbox, steal your mail or your identity. So they target envelopes that look like checks being mailed or bill payments. So now's the time to play it super safe. If you need to write a check, I want you to start using a security pen. It's also known as a check washing pen. That uses specially formulated ink that gets trapped in the paper, and that makes it difficult for criminals to wash or erase it. So a few more steps to take. Make sure that you monitor your accounts, be proactive of your checking account and banking number, and make sure that you also secure your mailbox. I'll tell you, it reminds me of last year I used my tax refund check to buy baby chickens. Yes, that's right. I got money for nothing and the chicks for free. Oh, that was a good one. All right, we're all sick of email. The rambling ones that you get from coworkers and clients, your boss, your neighbor, your cranky uncle. Get this, the folks at the messaging app Slack, they surveyed 8,000 small business workers. Turns out our old ways of sending emails are just plain time wasters. They're just a nightmare. So here are some tips. First, the magical number. This is what you need to know. 8 sentences or more, and 57% of people ignore parts of the email or they just skim it. That would be me. I'm right there. Instead, try this. Put all the most important info in the first line. Write it in bullet points to save time, and that's when you want to get people's attention. Now, if you need to write more than a few sentences, you need to have a conversation, right? Or maybe a text or just online chat. Oh, one more thing. Over 50% of people who use email say they've been called by the wrong name. I also admit I have done that to people. So embarrassing. So what do I do now? I just say, hey, hi, cheers. Hope you're doing well. So this way you don't make that mistake again. All right, coming up, we have some tips about your streaming device and how it's tracking you. And then later on, why you really need to talk to your kids about deep fakes now, if you haven't done that already. And let's see, Harry in Cedar City, Utah. Hello there, Harry.
Well, I got a little bit of a problem. I am with a company that protects my computer as well as protects and offers me my passwords. Of late, I've had a problem trying to sign on to some of my apps. There's about 70 of them.
Oh.
And so I contacted this particular company to describe the problem to them. I did that. A couple of times they even accessed my computer, and to no avail. In fact, the last couple of times, I think they even blocked me after cutting me off because I couldn't get back onto the company. Two questions.
Yeah.
One is, as I said, I have about 70 different apps on my computer that I have used the password vault to, and that's a lot to sit down and copy each one of those passwords. I've asked them every time if I could get something where I could just download the passwords to print them out or whatever.
You should. You know what? You should be able to export them out.
I wish I could.
I'm not sure which program that you're using, but we can certainly find the steps for you on how to do that.
Okay.
This becomes a little bit of an issue that you described. Because, we use a password manager, and then if we're not happy with that password manager, well, how do we get away from that password manager?
Bingo.
Right? Okay. So you do have to have a list of all the accounts, and we're going to give you, Harry, a membership to the Commando community. So that this way we can offer you step-by-step help that way, and give you the links that you need in order to do that. And so when we hang up, Amber's going to pick you up. We're going to get your information how to do that. And that's where there's a Q&A forum there. Then that's where our IT geniuses hang out. My IT genius, John, hangs out there, Harry, just to let you know. Okay. This is the man in my life that knows every single one of my passwords. Okay. He knows my home security system. He fixes my laptops, my desktops, my iPads. He sets up my phone. You get my gist, right? Okay.
I do.
Okay. He's amazing. Truly, truly amazing. So we start by getting an inventory of all your accounts, and then you have to pick a new password manager you want one. Then you set it up, and you're going to export your passwords. Normally, you can export all of your passwords in what's called a CSV file, and that is a Microsoft Excel file or maybe other format. But a new password manager should be able to just suck that CSV file right up. And then what you want to do is update your passwords, right? Because you want to make sure that nobody has a copy of your old passwords. And I know it's a pain in the neck, but you just kind of have to do that. Some of these password managers will actually kind of walk you through all of that process. But it is always a consideration. You put your eggs all in one basket. Suddenly you don't like that basket anymore. So now I got to get them all out and I got to put them someplace new. So this requires just a little bit of hand holding, and that's where we like to send folks to the Commando community, which if you haven't checked it out, I'm telling you, that Q&A board is the best. It is. Anytime you have any tech questions that you need the step-by-steps for, we got your butt totally covered. There's a 30-day free trial, as well as after that, it's just a few bucks a month. It's less than $5 a month. And not only do you get to use the forum and we help you out there, but also you get to watch us do the show and take the calls and all kinds of good stuff like that. Again, that's the Commando community. In case you want to check it out yourself, go to commando.com. Support what we do, support our newsletters, everything. Truly appreciate that. Hit the button that says Commando community. And Harry, for you, hang on the line. We're going to be happy to set you up, but we just got to get some information from you. And then we'll be happy to kind of point you in a direction that way. And again, thank you for your call. All right, let's go ahead and do a great tip. And this week is brought to us by Incogni. Ever wonder how spammers get your number and email address? It's usually through data brokers because they collect and sell your personal data to the highest bidder. That's why to really cut back on spam, you need to get your information out of those databases. No kidding, I'm telling you, it would take you hundreds and hundreds of hours to do this yourself. And this is where Incogni comes in. You see, Incogni automates all the hard work. It checks for and removes your data from over 180 data brokers and people search sites. Isn't that amazing? I'm telling you, it takes just a few minutes to sign up. Took me 2 minutes or 3 minutes to sign up. And let me tell you, so far, my name and sensitive data like my date of birth, all my addresses, phone numbers, have been removed from 104 databases. Wow. And you know what else that means? I'm telling you, the text spam has just stopped. It has just stopped since I've gotten myself out of these data broker sites. Spam has also decreased too. This is an amazing service. That's why I negotiated a great offer for you. Save yourself from the hassle of manual data removal. Find peace from spam within 30 days or you're going to get your money back. You want to go to incogni.com, use code KIM60. You're smart. That's how you get an exclusive 60% discount. Let me spell that for you. It's INCOGNI, incogni.com. Use promo code KIM60. You're going to love this. I'm telling you. You got to check it out. Incogni.com. And again, that promo code is KIM60. All right. Have you ever wondered how all the advertisements you see when you're watching a show, they just seem to know certain things about you? Maybe the political party you support, the food that you're buying your dog, or the sneakers that you're wearing that very moment. The answer, yes, you're being tracked. The Amazon Fire TV Stick, Roku, and Rest are great options, truly, when you've cut the cable. And they're cheap, too. The trade-off? Well, let me tell you something. These streaming companies track what you watch, for how long, and what you look up. And then they sell all the data to who knows who. So here's what you can do. Nosy around in your device's privacy settings. The option that lets the streaming company track you may be called a couple of things. Maybe app usage data, limit ad tracking, or maybe simply tracking data. Now, other times, companies, they come up with these clever names. It's called interactive advertising. You're like, interactive advertising. Why would I turn that off? That sounds like something so futuristic that I would love. Yeah, turn it off. So your television is doing the same thing. You can dig in your settings to turn off your TV from tracking you too. And if you need the steps for that, we've got a couple of posts over at commando.com that will walk you through whatever brand TV that you have, how you can turn off your television's tracking. Because let me tell you something. You may have heard me say this before, but you know, Vizio TVs, they only make a quarter of their revenues off of the TVs themselves. Everything else is from the data that they're collecting and they're selling. Whew, I'll tell you, pretty nutso stuff. Just search for commando.com and say, turn off my TV tracking, and I bet you a couple of posts are going to pop right up for you. Hey, just a quick reminder about Kim Komando today. I'm so excited about this new show. We're having just a blast. I was laughing so hard the other day that my eyes were watering. Joining me for Kim Komando today is Andrew Babinski, which, as many of you know, if you've been longtime listeners, he was my call screener for so many years. And now he's back with our daily podcast. And I really, really have missed him. We just have this great energy together. And then if you can't catch the show live, I totally get that. Maybe you're busy. It's not your lunchtime, whatever it may be, is that you can always watch the episode right after we record it. Now, you can also get it as a podcast, too. So if you're more into the audio type of gal or guy because you want to listen on your walks or on your drives, whatever it may be, you can always get the podcast. That's Kim Komando today, wherever you get your podcasts. And let's see who's up next. Bill in St. Petersburg, Florida. Hi there, Bill.
Well, I have a bit of a conundrum. My wife has beat up her old Apple phone. And before I dive into all the new ones that are out, I got to make sure I get this right.
You're funny.
Happy wife, happy life, you know.
Exactly. So which one does she have now?
I don't know. It's older than rocks. That's all I can tell you. But it does work. She just got her Series 9 GPS cellular watch. So we use, if that makes a difference, we have that on our phones too.
All right. That's awesome. Is she loving the watch?
Oh yeah. It's her, at least her second one.
Nice. All right, good. All right. So here's the deal. You said the magical phrase, okay? Happy wife, happy life, right? And so is she an avid photographer?
No, but I think she's going to go more that direction.
Okay. Okay, so here's the deal. Anytime you're talking about photography, that's when you always want to look at the latest iPhone, because as the generations get better, right, all the capabilities gets better. And so right now, the top of the line is the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Okay, that's the phone I have. It's a big phone, but it has a 48 megapixel main camera. It has 5 times telephoto zooms. It also has an ultra wide lens. And it's really just, when you see the photos that this phone can take, oh my gosh, Bill, it's astounding. I mean, and when you look at videos, it's almost as if you're looking at something that you would have expected to come out of Hollywood. Okay. And then you have all these different modes. You have action modes and macro modes and cinematic modes, especially for video. So if she's taking any videos, that's what she wants to do. The front camera has autofocus. And so this way, if she's taking a selfie or she's having a video call, it's going to look great. It also does HDR. So again, this is like the top of the line. And it sounds like she keeps things for a long time, huh?
Yes, we do.
So you could get the iPhone 14 Pro Max if, there's a budgetary issue. I wouldn't go anything lower than a 14 at this point.
Okay. Now, another question very quickly is that she does like whatever the model is to be the larger one because even when she uses personal computers and stuff.
So the Pro Max is the bigger one.
Okay.
Because it goes Pro, it goes Pro Max, and then they have SE is the little tiny one. But it sounds like you're going to look at the 14 Pro Max, or you're going to look at the 15 Pro Max.
What is the difference between the 14 and 15?
Probably about $300 or $400. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And also 1 year. The Pro Max does have a better image quality, and it does have better in low light performance. But when we start looking at, is it this much different? Not really. As a matter of fact, when I gave my husband my 14 Pro Max and I got the 15 Pro Max, I sat there and I thought to myself, I just wasted like $1,500. It's just like, and he was really thrilled because he came off the iPhone SE. And so, if you can't afford the 15, I would just go ahead and go with the 14 because they are essentially the same. Yeah, I know the 14 Pro Max has the A15 Bionic chip and the 15 Pro Max has the A16 Bionic chip. But, really, if you're just going to be sitting there taking some pictures, I would stick with the 14 or the 15. Don't go to 13 because you guys keep things a long time. Bill, thank you for your call today. Now, that's a smart man right there. Rob in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello there, Rob.
Hey, first of all, I want to say I've listened to you when I can for probably decades. I don't know how long you've been on the air, as long as I can remember, and I really appreciate everything you do for us. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, well, I've gotten to know some friends on some apps in other countries, and we don't have enough of a common language. But the apps we use have text translation during a video call. Mm-hmm. And we kind of like to get away from that because they're kind of pay per minute and like to get to something where we don't quite have, we want to save money. And I'm wondering if there's a video call app that has at least text translation available.
Well, probably the best text translator out there in the entire universe is Google Translate.
Yep.
And, you can use that with Google Meet for your video calls. It is free. And basically, you're going to get the Google Translate app, iOS, Android, whichever team that you're on. Select the language. And then there's a camera icon. And that's, of course, for if something like you're going to use a picture for, which is not in your case, but just don't want to pass that along. But then there's also a button that says transcribe, and that's for real-time spoken word translation. So you can use the camera, as I mentioned, to capture the text on the screen, but you're going to use transcribe because that's going to provide some real-time translation of the conversation. It's a really great thing that you're doing, and it's kind of so futuristic Star Trek when you start thinking about it that we could be having a conversation, and then right next to it, in the window shows the full conversation going back and forth in English and whatever language, really any language in the world that you want to think about is available through Google Translate. And I know there are other translation programs, but Google Translate, it does work side by side Google Meet. So if you're going to be doing video calls, just seems like a natural match for that. And Rob, thank you for your call today. Speaking of translations, let me tell you this. Sugar is the only word in the English language where the SU makes a sh sound. Sugar. At least I'm pretty sure that's correct. Yeah, you might have to think about that one. Hopefully you had your coffee. All right, this happened in Columbus, Ohio. Oh, you're not going to believe this story. When Billy Blocka found out that his 11-year-old daughter was sending inappropriate images and messages to a man online, he called the police. So when the officers showed up at the door at midnight, Billy thought he was going to be getting help and guidance from the cops, but instead, they said that his daughter could probably get charged with child pornography. He's like, what? How? She's 11 years old. The cops said, doesn't matter. She's creating child porn, and they just left. So think about this. With AI, it's becoming easier to create deep fakes. From one simple social media picture, the kids' images can be used to create child pornography and abuse materials. So now is the time for all of us to rethink what we post about our kids online, especially any pictures. And know what your kids do online. You need to be the parent because no one else will. Hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us. And don't forget, get my newsletter. You can sign up at getkim.com.
This program is a copyrighted production of Westar Multimedia Entertainment and protected by the copyright laws. Any rebroadcast or use of this program for commercial, business, economic, or financial purposes without the written permission of Westar Multimedia Entertainment is strictly prohibited.